Minutes. No, there it is. So we're supposed to be live, according
Are
to
we?
EVMux. I'm checking on YouTube. There it is. I have to.
All right.
There. Okay. Sorry for those who are viewing about the confusion. EVMux always does that with the waiting time until
Yeah.
it actually.
We're still not working perfectly because for some reason my camera decided not to be recognized today. So there's no visual component. You can just hear my lovely voice only, I guess. So,
Well, and there's my visual component, and I actually have a nice mustache, so people can enjoy that.
oh well. Yeah. So
uh, yeah,
we're
you
here to do
talk.
some shit talking.
Yes, as the title says, the worst TNG episodes we could think of. I made a list of a few, which is incomplete. I can think of a few more, and we talked about it. We'll basically just ping pong our lists. You do one, I do one, like throwing in the titles, and then we talk about the episode, and then another. And so I'm so good at explaining. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that sounds good. I had to go through a list to see if I could remember because I always forget episode titles.
Yeah.
So especially season 6 and 7, I don't actually remember all the episode titles. So, but I think I've got enough here to do a little bit of shit talking of my own. So yeah, should be
Yeah,
good.
my list was incomplete too, so I have the episode list open too, so I can add some others. And I
All
actually
right.
just rewatched one before the stream
Oh,
because
a really
I had
bad
it
one.
on I had it on my list because I remember it being bad, but I hadn't seen it in years. And then I saw I remembered it correctly. It
So
was
it's bad.
horrible. Yeah.
Which one? So is that what you want to start with?
Sure, I since I already mentioned it, I just watched Manhunt from season 2. And I'm not entirely sure the episode is about anything. Like it's a B plot for an entire episode. The one where Laxana Troy is in heat and wants Captain Picard.
Yeah, actually, that was one I was going to mention too. I've only watched that episode once in my life, but I think that was kind of enough. So,
Yeah, the
uh,
entire episode is a B plot. There's no A plot.
yeah, I'm certainly not going to disagree with that. I believe that's the one where you have to endure at least one long scene of Loxana and Picard trying to have dinner together very awkwardly.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, sometimes Patrick Stewart doing his awkward thing is fun, but I don't know. I didn't really enjoy that for some reason. So yeah, I don't mind the Dixon Hill holodeck stuff. I think it's kind of fun, but
Yeah.
uh, it's not at its best in that episode either.
It also has that memorable scene of Worf saying, "I am not a man," which is just
Does he say
weird.
that? Oh, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. That's kind of like "I am not a merry man" from
Yeah.
a later episode that I probably won't mention because I don't think it's that bad, but I'm curious whether you'll mention it.
There's
Yeah.
actually a funny bit in the season 2 gag reel where Worf says that "I am not a man" line, and then Michael Dorn just bursts out laughing. He
Hmm.
couldn't say it in the first take.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely. I don't know. I've said before. I'm actually quite enamored with the early TNG. I like it more than most people do. I think it's because the formula is not really quite 100% set yet, and I think some of the not that special episodes are more entertaining, especially in the first season to me than some of the later not special ones where it seems like they're just kind of going through the motions and there's like bad sitcom elements and stuff like that. There's
Yeah.
not that much of that in the first season. So if you want me to mention one right off, I'm going to mention this one that it's probably almost as obvious as Shades of Grey for most people, and it's certainly season one episode that I can't really defend, and that's Code of Honor. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not
So
even on my list because it's so obvious.
I will say that when I first watched the episode as a kid, being a blind person without a visor, I had no idea that all the Lagodian actors were black. So it didn't really register with me that it was necessarily a racist episode, but I never really liked it that much. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's got a really bad reputation.
Yeah.
Even the cast disowns it. There is
Yeah.
something I like about it, and that is the music. I can't remember the name of the composer, but it's a guy who did a lot of the TOS scores. So this is the only TNG episode that he worked on. But that's about the only good thing I can say about it. I'm kind of like mixed on Tasha Yar as a character. She's kind of, I don't know, she can be all right sometimes, but I definitely think that maybe if she'd stuck around longer, she could have become a stronger character. But like,
Yeah,
yeah,
we didn't really get to know her.
right, yeah. So
The funny thing for me, I also didn't mind the episode as a kid, but that was at that time movies always came a bit later in Germany. Like the dubbing took extra long, so I watched it around the same time as a kid as Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, which is also really stereotypical about Africans.
yeah, yeah,
So they kind of fit together.
yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
it's really, really bad stereotyping.
oh yeah, yeah. And there's this the funny thing about Code of Honor too is like it's that weird thing where you have a society that seems to be advanced in some ways because they have space travel and they have transporters and stuff, and yet like in other ways it's kind of supposed to be backwards and primitive, and that can be really fun sometimes. I think sometimes like certain aspects of Dune handle that really well, where it's like this weird future where things seem to be kind of ancient and super technological at the same time. But I don't really think that it's not done very well here. So yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like Highlander 2, where they fight with swords and artillery. Like, what? I don't know
hmm
if you've seen that Highlander 2, because it's best not to see it. Classic bad movie.
which one?
Highlander 2,
Yeah,
the sci-fi one.
makes sense.
But Stargate also makes a whole franchise out of it, where they have advanced technology and act like they're in ancient Egypt.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, enough about Code of Honor. Uh, what did I start my list with? Another great season, season 7, Sub Rosa, where
Oh,
not, I recently rewatched that, and because I just remembered the plot being ludicrous, but for some reason the acting is also really bad. They're all doing their best Tommy Wiseau impression. Like
so I
even
don't
Patrick
actually remember
Stewart.
this one at all. So I'll just let you
It's
go on because I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's where Dr. Crusher falls in love with a ghost that lives on planet Scotland, where for some reason
Hmm.
humans made a colony that's all made up of Scottish people, and they try to make it like Scotland
Oh,
because the writer felt it was a great idea to make planet Scotland.
didn't Voyager do that with Ireland? Oh, that was a holodeck episode though.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one. I know I watched it probably when it first aired, but I haven't seen it since then, and I honestly can't remember a thing.
it's
Just
probably better.
what's
Probably
that?
for the best. Probably for the best.
Yeah, lots of. I mean, it was one of the Beverly episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had several of those.
So yeah, it's definitely one that I considered watching recently because I knew it was probably not going to be good, but I didn't get to it. So yeah, I can't really say anything about that one. I'll mention, I guess, an episode that it's like maybe it's not the worst episode, but it's kind of my pet hate episode, and that it's not usually mentioned as a really bad episode, but for me, it's just terrible, and it represents like some of the worst things about later TNG, I guess, blandness, and that is the episode "Imaginary Friend" from season 5.
Hmm.
Ah, I can't stand it. What a oh, I don't know. Any of the episodes with kids in them are tough sells for me.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't mind it on Deep Space Nine because I kind of think that they concentrate on, mostly Jake and Nog, and they're actually interesting characters, and you see them develop over time, and it's totally different.
Yeah.
Uh, and it just kind of works. But on the Enterprise, I'm like, these kids have a choice, right? They don't really have to be here. I mean, the kids don't have a choice, but their parents have a choice, right?
Yeah.
Like they could leave them on at home somewhere under the care of somebody who's not in danger all the time, right? That seems like it would make sense. And not only that, but you have to. It's like they keep hammering this again and again, and it's kind of like I don't really think that creators should listen to fans too much, but I don't know. It's like I don't think anybody really enjoys a lot of these episodes, and
Yeah.
the commentary at the time from fans must have been somewhat negative, and yet they keep doing them. And like season 5, for some reason, seems like it has a lot of this. I don't know if it's just me, but it's like there's one area where it's like there's 3 episodes in a row with lots of child actors, and I don't think this is quite in that like I don't think this is one of those 3, but there's like an Alexander episode followed by the hero worship episode, and then something else, and now there's this one, right, where there's this random little girl that we never see again, that we've never seen before, who has an imaginary friend who's another girl who's actually turns out to be an alien or something like that, and
Yeah.
of course Troy has got to be in there, and she's like playing a game with the girl, trying to show her that there's no weird thing in the closet or whatever, and it's just I don't know. And then at the end, the girl's imaginary friend girl is on the bridge talking to Picard, and it's like this weird child actor trying to sound evil, and I don't
Yeah.
know, it's just really awkward to watch. And when I was 11, I really didn't like it either, and I still don't now.
Yeah,
So
I'm not a fan of it, but like you said in the beginning, not many people consider it the worst. I don't consider it the worst, but it's like skippable.
it's skippable, and a lot of TNG episodes are, if I'm
Yeah.
honest. But like that, I don't know what it is, but to me, that's always that episode represents something that I don't
Yeah.
like. So it's like my pet hate episode. And I think a lot of people have one. And, it
Yeah.
could be like a random one that doesn't really connect that negatively with anybody else. But for me, it's that episode. That's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of the ultimate, like, do I really want to watch this show kind of episode? I mean, luckily, there's a lot of good episodes on TNG. So I do want to watch the show. But like, if somebody just showed me that episode, I'd be kind of thinking, yeah, I probably won't,
Yeah.
right? Um, and again, say what you will about season 1, but there's no episodes that annoy me as much as that one in season 1, honestly. So that's again, it's probably because it was new and it feels
Mm.
new. That's why I like season 1, uh, and
Yeah.
and it's like season 5, this blandness starts to creep in a lot, and season 6 is better, but then in the last season, to me, it kind of comes back with this sort of uh, oh, we're just kind of coasting through. We need to make an episode every week, so let's just do this kind of thing, and the soap opera sitcom stuff starts to increase,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm just not a fan. uh, so that one. for me, for sure.
Yeah. And you were kind of way ahead of me, even though it's not near the top of my list, but you mentioned that Hero Worship follows up on an Alexander episode, New Ground. It's such a terrible episode, not just for Alexander, but because the plot makes absolutely no sense, because I don't see the benefit of the Soliton wave,
Oh,
because you can just go in a straight line, and what if you get like a distress call and you need to take a turn and rescue a ship, and
oh
I
man.
don't know. It makes no sense, and it has that really annoying Alexander plot. Speaking of which, I need to add a different, even worse Alexander episode to my list for later. Uh,
Why don't we
but
just name
yeah,
all the Alexander episodes? That
I already, I did that in a small version with the, but I'll mention that later. The two Geordie episodes with Leah Brahms and generally all Geordie episodes where he is interested in a woman, which is complete cringe
oh,
because he's so creepy about it. But I was talking about New Ground, but I don't actually have that much to say about it because it's just really bad. The plot makes no sense, and the drama with Alexander, it never worked.
yeah, and again, it's just a child actor who's maybe not very good, so that kind of makes it even harder to bear.
Yeah, and Michael Dorn doesn't really seem to know how to interact with him. Like, he's pretty terrible in those Alexander episodes too.
Yeah, and honestly, maybe it's just because I like the character when he's really good, but I don't like episodes that mock Worf and kind of make
Yeah,
him the butt of a lot of jokes. Like maybe one or two jokes is okay. Like I kind of like what's the name of that episode? Deja Q, and it's like, oh, very good, Mister Worf. Eat any good books lately? Like I
yeah,
enjoyed that, but I don't want him to be the butt of a joke an entire episode. Like it feels to me like we've gone even by season 5 of TNG, we've gone beyond that point, and we don't really need to do things like that. And even in DS9, they were still doing it every now and then, where it's just
yeah,
like, oh, Worf, he's just this like stupid Klingon, and I don't know, I don't like that. So uh, there's a lot of that in the New Ground episode, where it's just like, haha, look at what a bad father Worf is, and like
yeah,
how horrible it must be around the dinner table in the Worf family quarters and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, I can't stand it.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's definitely a good candidate. I think. Um, okay. Well, why don't I name another season 1 episode, because even though I always defend it, it does have its share of not that great episodes, and
It does.
um, it's predictable, but I'm going to name it anyway. Justice. Yeah.
Mhm.
What is that? um, Again, it has a certain charm to it just because it's
Yeah,
from the first season. Like all the scantily dressed natives of a planet and stuff like that. Like it kind of
yeah,
feels like season 1 of TNG is kind of aiming for the '60s sexiness of TOS, and I don't mind that. But it just like, I guess when you get these alien planets with totally arbitrary customs that don't make any sense, and
yeah,
it's just sort of like, why? Why would you do this? Like, I know I understand what they're going for, but it's like any kind of society with any reasonable intelligence would not do something like this, you know. And
yeah,
it's just like I don't really hate the episode, but it's again, it's like it's a nothing episode. It's just kind of, thank God we left that planet now. It's just I don't know. The alien guardian, is just another kind of mysterious alien, and I think that early TNG has a lot of these like mysterious alien benefactors and demigod kind of beings, which TOS did a lot too. And it's just kind of some episodes do it really well. Like you and I have talked about Where Silence Has Lease, and I think we both really
Yeah.
like that episode.
Yes.
But it's just another in a very long line of it's some alien fucking with us kind of episodes. But it's just like you either do it well or you don't do it well, right? And I don't know. This is like Justice is not really the same, but it kind of has that like, oh, like there's this mysterious alien that we'll never see again, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
definitely very TOS, like Return of the Archons and all that kind of stuff. And what was the one with the Native Americans where Kirk loses his memory? Don't
yeah,
remember the episode title.
yeah. I and there's a subplot that I almost completely forgot about too, where there's some kind of oh no, I'm getting it mixed up. Actually, that was in another season, one episode, Angel One, with the weird virus on the Enterprise or something. Uh,
Okay, I haven't seen that in ages.
okay, yeah, I haven't either, so that's why I'm getting them mixed up. Angel One was not a good episode either, but I didn't really include it here because I don't dislike it
Yeah,
that much. But
it's not extremely bad.
yeah, so yeah, Justice. I actually don't have a lot to say about it, but it's just like
Hmm.
one of these. I want to pick something else for season one because yeah, I mean it's. I get why people generally
Hmm.
don't think it's as good, but I
Hmm.
actually there's one other one that I might pick, but we'll save that for later.
I have two from season one, two more, but I'll do something from season two first. Another
Okay.
classic that gets mentioned a lot. Bleh, stumbling over my tongue. Um, because of the subplot, the outrageous Okana, with the subplot of Data trying to understand humor, which is so horrible to watch.
So I didn't watch that one. I kind of thought about it, and I remember it being not very good. But yeah, by all means, talk about this episode while I get another beer. And I might actually, I remember it being more like funny bad than like hateful bad. You know what I mean? Uh,
Ah, no,
maybe you.
I just find it horrible to watch because of the first of all because of Joe Piscopo, I think was his name, who plays the hologram comedian,
Oh,
and he's
yeah, yeah.
trying to teach Data all the way different ways of comedy, and I just find it terrible to watch. It's
So I think that guy is. Sorry, I'm away from the mic, but I think that guy is based on the comedian Jerry Lewis. So I don't know. Yeah, it's
uh,
like a very old school comedy from the generation of our parents and stuff. That's even my dad is like, this guy's horrible, right? And
yeah,
yeah, uh, yeah.
and the titular character O'Connor is just really not that interesting. Like they make him out to be some kind of rogue, but he's just a random guy basically. He didn't really impress me as some kind of roguish Han Solo kind of character that would become like a recurring character. There just wasn't enough substance to him.
So is there actually anything really special about Akona? Is there just really hot? I can't even remember.
No, he's a guy who likes to fly alone and doesn't like rules and like really generic rogue stuff.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an episode that I wouldn't mind watching again just because it's one another that I don't really remember too much, and I've rewatched a lot of TNG in the last couple of years, but that one is not one that I've come back to. So yeah, and I certainly remember it not being a favorite, but yeah, I can't say that I recall it too well. So, but now that you mentioned the comedy bits with
Yeah,
the Jerry Lewis like dude, uh, yeah, I remember, and it is pretty unfunny. But I kind of think that it's almost meant to be that way. But it's like just because it's meant to be that way, it doesn't mean the audience is gonna like it, right?
yeah, exactly.
It's like so. It's like Data trying to understand humor. Sometimes it's really funny, but sometimes it's like I don't know. um,
Exactly.
it gets a little old sometimes when it's like all the really painfully unfunny stuff, and yeah, so no good,
Pretty
no
much.
good.
Yeah. What else you got?
All right, I'm gonna name an episode that I think is bad just because it is so boring.
Okay.
It starts out like kind of well, kind of like there might be something intriguing going on, but it's like a nothing episode. And again, I'm gonna pick on season one, a favorite, but it's We'll Always Have Paris.
Huh.
What the hell is that?
We have completely
Uh,
different season one episodes.
what's that?
We have completely different season one episodes on our list.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know. I watched it recently, and like, yeah, I defend season one a lot, but I can't defend this. It's so boring. It's some old flame of Picard's
Yeah.
and some weird time thing that's going on. That's like it starts out like, yeah, maybe it's going to be an intriguing Star Trek mystery, but uh,
Yeah.
there's like nothing going on. The resolution is just Picard talking to her over a view screen or something like that. It's just like really, I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
it's an episode that'll put you to sleep. I challenge you if it's like after midnight and you're trying to watch this episode. If you can stay up, you're a better man than me. Uh, it's just, yeah, it's really really boring. um,
I do remember the scene with the three datas, and he's trying to figure out which one is the real one, which made absolutely no sense. I think it's me. Why?
I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, is that one that is that? I'm guessing that's one that you don't really remember too much about.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah. See, I do want to pick episodes that are not generally, everybody else picks, and I kind of
Yeah,
did with Cone of Honor, right? So I'm trying to kind of, not. I mean, and I'm going hard on season one now more so than I thought I would because it's actually I've been rewatching season one recently, so it's kind of in my head right now, and I've mostly been watching the really good ones.
yeah,
Um, and I've been watching them with a guy who might be tuned into us right now. Hey, so if you're here, but if not, I understand because we're talking about TNG episodes that he hasn't seen yet. So I don't want to spoil them, but I'm also I'm sort of picking episodes to watch that are not bad, right? Like I'm picking good ones. And a nice thing about TNG is that you don't have to watch all the episodes because there's
yeah,
no serialization. So you just if somebody who's experienced with the show is watching it with a new person, they would probably tend to pick the good episodes, and that's kind
yeah.
of what that's what I would do. So I skipped We'll Always Have Paris because it's a really boring episode with nothing at the center of it.
Pretty
So
much, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think boring is the worst thing that it can be. Like funny bad is okay, and I think season one at its season one can be kind of funny bad. Like I love how pleased with itself season one is. It's just so bombastic and happy that it's Star Trek.
Yeah,
So I think I enjoyed that aspect of it, but not an episode like this.
yeah. And while we are on the subject, the next entry in my list, my piece of paper, is from season one, Hide and Q.
Oh, I like that episode.
I don't.
Okay,
It's
tell me
just
why.
really, really dumb. First of all, why would he randomly make Riker a Q? And it has that weird finale where he grants everybody's wishes, which are not really their wishes. It has that weird scene with that random old dude playing an old Wesley Crusher, and he looks nothing like Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
He looks more like he would be a Superman actor, like really big, big phone booth of a guy.
Huh.
And trust me, older Will Wheaton doesn't look anything like that. He
Okay.
doesn't
I
look
mean,
very
that's fair.
muscular.
So I'm a fan of Riker as a character. I like him. Uh, and I guess in season one, I don't like him quite as much as I would later because I think he does. Again, like there's that season one thing where they haven't really got a handle on the characters. They don't
Yeah,
quite know who they are yet, right? Which I enjoy. I enjoy them figuring and trying to figure it out. But Riker is very self righteous in the first season of TNG. He's very like, uh, oh, we're so much better than this now. We in the
yeah,
Federation, and I don't know. For some reason, when Jonathan Frakes does it, it's less convincing than when Patrick Stewart does it.
yeah,
It's just like he seems full of himself, and it's weird. And here he's full of himself in a different way, where he's like, I have this power now. I can grant my friends all this cool stuff. And it's silly and not like what any of them wants. But that's actually part of the episode that I enjoyed. I like it's bad, but it's bad because Riker is letting it get to his head, basically, right? So I don't know. I don't mind that. I don't know, like the whole again, like the worst thing about the episode for me is probably the whole weird interaction between Picard and Tasha Yar. It's like she's so upset, and I just don't understand that character very much because she gets like upset over weird things sometimes, but it's sort of entertaining in a fucked up way. I don't know. I don't get
Who?
it.
Wait. Who? I was just distracted for a second.
Sorry, what's
Who
that?
gets up? Who gets upset? I was distracted for a second.
Tasha.
Oh, I see.
She gets sent to the penalty box, right? In that episode. And the penalty box is the
Oh
bridge of the
yes,
Enterprise.
yeah,
And she's like really upset because she can't master the situation or something like that. And she has this like crying fit in front of Picard.
yeah. I mean, I remember that her situation is pretty bad. That if somebody else gets sent there, she dies,
She dies, yeah. Yeah.
and she
So
has
I
no
mean I
way
guess
of
that's
influencing the situation. Yeah,
yeah. And I mean Q's rules are arbitrary, right? But that's Q. Like that's
yeah,
just what he does. And at this point he's not really a figure of fun yet as he would become later. And I don't know. I personally don't mind this episode, but I get it. I understand. I was hoping we'd have some differences at some point. So yeah, this is one that I maybe it's not like the best, but it's one of the season one episodes that I would show somebody. And in fact, we did watch it. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Your turn.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna go for season five again with hero worship.
Huh. Already
Uh,
mentioned twice.
was that?
We already mentioned it twice.
Yeah, true. We have, but you picked a new ground and not that one, right?
Yeah,
So I'm picking that one. Um, it's
understandable.
yeah, we're gonna be hard on the children, right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna be hard on the kids, and yeah, this one. To be fair, I actually went to a summer camp one year when I was a kid, and I met a kid who was basically the kid character in this episode.
I see.
So it's not unrealistic. um, but I don't know. I don't like it. Again, it's just like this stupid family drama stuff that, like, to me, it's not that interesting to see on Star Trek. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just it's so boring and so uninspired and it's bland and that's the Star Trek that I hate most. Not the over the top silly season one bad, but the like bland. I
It
forgot
is.
about it like the minute I it was over kind of thing, right? So and there's a lot of really stupid scenes in this episode. there's like, Data trying to explain to the kid why he can't build a tower without supports or something like that, and it's just like, I don't know, like, are we supposed to empathize with this child because he can't figure out basic, I don't know, like the most basic idea about building something, like, I don't know, I just
Yeah,
don't
that
like
scene
it.
is a bit weird, but I thought some of the explanations of what being an android is about were kind of interesting as character development for Data.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Hmm.
I guess it's not it's not like 100% terrible, maybe, but it's pretty fucking terrible. You gotta admit.
Yeah, it's definitely, like you said, it's pretty boring. Takes up way too much. Uh, the plot doesn't isn't enough for the amount of time it has to fill.
Yeah, and it's one of the episodes with a really dumb teaser. Like the I think there's an art to doing the cold open, right? And the cold open is
Yeah.
the pre credits bit. And you want to make the end of the pre credits bit something that'll make you go, oh, that sounds
That's
like an
ex-
interesting mystery. I want to know what the mystery is, right? Um, but here it's like the kid's talking like Data. Why is he doing that?
yeah.
It's not very compelling opening credits, like pre cold open stuff, right? It's just kind of really, again, it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't. It's
It's
very uninspired, in my
it's
opinion.
interesting that you mention it because before the stream I was trying to watch Loud as the Whisper to see if I have to add it to my list, and it actually the teaser ends like in the middle of a scene, just randomly the intro comes on. And I was like, what? Like they're looking around on a planet and then the intro comes. Huh?
Okay.
Made no
Yeah.
sense.
Uh, yeah.
Like it's about
So.
that deaf guy who has that choir of telepaths or whatever who speak for him.
Mhm.
But the teaser ends before we meet him. Like they're just looking around in the place where they're going to meet him,
Yeah.
then the intro, and then they meet him. What a weird decision. But anyway, I didn't add it to my list. I don't know, I didn't find it interesting enough to be considered worst, I guess.
Right. Right. Yeah.
It's just one of those in one ear, out the other kind of episodes. I
Yeah.
do have something I mentioned earlier, a double feature, not a two-parter, but a double feature, Booby Trap and Galaxy's Child, which are just unwatchable to me because Jodie is so creepy. The two Leah Brahms episodes.
Okay.
Especially the second one where he meets the real one and he's just really awkward, acting like he knows her, and she's just wondering what the hell is this guy going on about, and he just keeps getting creepier and creepier.
Yeah.
I find that really hard to watch. But the
I think that it's meant to be hard to watch, but yeah.
yeah,
It's
the interesting thing I thought about unintentional double meaning of the word booby trap when he makes himself a holographic girlfriend.
true. Yeah.
Trapping himself some boobies. Yeah, that was probably unintentional.
Oh man.
But even though the plot of those episodes is not bad, and like the story itself is perfectly fine, and booby trapped there in that trapped by that depowering weapon that kind of drains their resources or whatever. I don't remember what it was called. Some energy draining beam, I don't know, hidden in an asteroid field from a war thousands or tens of thousands or millions of years ago. How long ago was it? I have to look that up. Like some really ancient weapon drained their energy, and it was interesting. And Galaxy's Child was that space being that they killed, and then the baby thought the Enterprise was its mother.
Yeah, I
So
don't.
the plots are actually not that bad, but all the Geordie scenes just make me want to turn it off. Because I like Geordie, I don't like seeing him that way.
You don't like seeing him as a sad
Creep
character.
as a creepy character.
Yeah, because there was no indication before that he was like that. Like there was no, I don't know. Like again, watching season one, it's like he's a very different character than he would become, but he's definitely cool. Like he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
He shouldn't be like that. You know, he
yeah,
shouldn't be weird and creepy. Yeah, it is very strange. I agree. I don't know why they decided to make him like that. Like it just seems it's like I never really got the impression that he was really awkward or uncomfortable around women or anything like that. Like I don't
yeah.
know.
They also did that in was it season 5? No, it wasn't season 5. Was it season 6? Transfigurations. Was it season 4?
Which one?
Transfigurations.
Which one is that?
The one where they harbor an alien who's evolving into a being of pure energy.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Season 3.
I think I remember. Yeah.
Where it has that subplot of some of that alien's energy goes onto Geordie, and he gets really confident around women, like really confident around a woman he likes. And again, that's pretty creepy. That
Yeah.
was after Booby Trap and before Galaxy's Child. So right in the middle of the creepy Geordie arc.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the creepy Jordy is weird. I agree. I definitely
Yeah,
don't. I don't get that. Because again, it seems to go against like everything they said before. Like Jordy is he's kind of cool, you know. He's like is it
yeah,
the one that Data always goes to when he wants advice about how to do something, and he's like, you know, it doesn't seem like it seems very out of character to me
yeah.
anyway. So yeah, I don't get it. uh, yeah.
But yeah, on to the.
Okay, so next one then. I'm gonna pick. This is another pet like annoyance episode for me,
Okay.
and I don't know. It's might be on your list too. So I'm sorry if I'm taking it from you, but it's Force of Nature from season 7. Uh,
Oh, I forgot to add that. It
oh
should be on
really?
my list,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. There's certain things that I don't mind about it. Like there's some good Data and Geordi interaction. Like I kind of enjoy. I mean, it's stilly and kind of shallow, but I don't know. I don't mind it. Like seeing those two together is kind of fun. But I think what bugs me most about the episode, and it's like kind of an infuriating thing about especially the last season of TNG, in my opinion, is that they're always trying to introduce things that seem like they're a really, really big deal when they know
Yeah,
that the series is almost over and they're not going to do anything with it. And it's like, you know, it's so weird to me because at this point, TNG is settled into such a groove that we're like
yeah,
just expected to enjoy spending time with the characters, and whatever they throw at you in terms of plot is like it doesn't matter. You know, there's like so many episodes this season that do this where it's like, hey, the Enterprise is a living being. Hey, Data has a
yeah,
mom. Hey, Captain Picard has a son. Hey, warp drive is bad and it's destroying the universe. And like,
yeah.
you know, it's like it's why do this? You're never gonna follow up on any of it. And
The
I think
funny
this is a
thing is, The funny
Yeah,
thing
this
is, I agree with you about the episode, but for a completely different reason. I rewatched it recently in the evening and had real trouble staying awake because it's so damn boring.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, and again, it's like it would be different if it actually made a difference. Like if anything in the episode meant anything, but it totally
Yeah,
doesn't, right? And it's like um, it's equal. It's just really shitty to me because at that time I had been introduced to something from the '80s. It was Doctor Who production by fans called Blood Circuit, and it was
yeah,
actually talking about something very similar and how the space drive that the humans were using were like poking holes in the universe, and they didn't realize that they were causing all kinds of problems. And it was like, going to an alien planet that had been destroyed because of the same kind of drive that they had employed like thousands of years before, right? And discovering, oh, they use the same technology that we do
yeah,
now, and look what happens, right? And it's like
yeah,
here, it was like it felt very serious and very. I mean, this was a production made by amateurs, basically, right?
yeah,
And it's like you would think that they would be able to do something better on TNG, but they totally didn't. And so it was just kind of like, this is a really stupid idea. Like, if you're gonna do something like that, make it mean something. And it's kind of just insulting to me that at this point in TNG, we're like limping to the finish line, kind of.
yeah,
And don't get me wrong, All Good Things is good. It's a really great
yeah,
finale, but it's just like, kind of maybe it's time to put this show to rest
yeah,
at this point, right? It's just 7 years. We're getting to the point where, like, unlike with DS9, how it ended, everything seemed to have consequences and everything seemed to
yeah.
matter. But here it's just like very blasé episode of the week, but at the same time, like trying to introduce important things that mean nothing. And
The the really awkward thing about the other things you mentioned in season 7, like Data having a mom or the Enterprise becoming a living being, those
yeah,
are all Enterprise specific. But the warp drive thing, they had two more shows in the same timeline following up, Deep Space Nine
uh-huh.
and Voyager, and it was never mentioned. Like they could have continued that plot actually. Like they had TNG movies too, and they had Deep Space Nine, they had Voyager. Not a single mention.
Oh yeah,
Like that,
yeah.
it's something they could have followed up, but they just, nah, let's forget about it. Never happened.
Forget about it and move on. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. What else you got?
Next, I think that's also season 7. Let me check. Yeah, right in the beginning, interface, where Jordy is linked to that probe and his mom is lost, and then he thinks he found his mom on a ship that's drifting in some gas giant.
Okay,
And
this is an episode I don't remember either. Sorry.
yeah, I had to rewatch it because it's absolutely not memorable. The idea is like really dumb, like it's a bad Outer Limits kind of plot. And it just takes forever to do pretty much nothing. It tries to be dramatic because Jordy has to accept that his mom is missing in action and declared dead. Basically, I think they literally even say that she's lost, but they accept that they're not going to find her because they've been looking for ages and no sign of a ship. But he can't
Right.
accept it because they didn't find any ship debris and nothing. It's like a mystery. But yeah, then his weird probe that he does thinks he found his mom, but in reality it's just an alien again, like the typical bad TNG episode thing. It's an alien influencing your mind. An
Yeah.
energy being, of course. It's always a sign of a poorly written TNG episode, almost always. Since you already mentioned imaginary friend, it's always some energy alien is doing this and that, and that's the
Uh,
explanation for this boring plot.
right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the one that I actually was looking at in the list of episodes because I couldn't remember anything about it and I didn't know which episode it was and I didn't actually get around to thinking that much about it, so I haven't watched it in a long time either. And it
Yeah,
seems like another of those season 7 like nothing episodes
yeah,
kind of where it's yeah, it's unfortunate that the last season has a number of those. It does have some really good episodes too, but I don't know. Yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely a problem with the last year, in my opinion. DS9 was on at the same time. It was the second year of DS9, and I was just way more interested in that personally than what was
yeah.
going on
The
TNG. So
American term is lame duck for things that know their ending, so they just really don't have any ambition to do something great.
yeah. Hmm.
Show's
So
gonna be over anyway, so yeah, you continue.
okay, so let me ask you something. You're into TOS as well, right? I think we've talked about this before. You
Yes,
like
not as
the
much.
original series a lot, right?
Yes, I didn't watch it as
So
much as TNG, but yeah,
okay, I guess my question to you is: when TOS is bad, is it a different kind of bad than when TNG is bad? And is it like somehow more bearable? Because to me, a bad TOS episode is more entertaining than a bad TNG episode. Um, I think there's just something about the '60s sci-fi atmosphere
yeah,
and the kind of like the way the actors play it and everything, where if it's a bad TOS episode, it's like I can tell that it's bad and I know that it's bad, but I'm not like annoyed by it. Like
uh,
Spock's brain to me is more entertaining than a lot of the episodes that we're talking about.
yeah. Silliness feels more feels less out of place in TOS because a lot of the good episodes have elements that seem kind of silly, like the infamous computer voice of the Enterprise, calculating.
Yeah,
Like it has that goofy Flash Gordon kind of style sometimes, and so even in the good episodes, so the silly episodes uh, feel a little more in tune with the rest of the show.
right. I think a part of it too is like you and I are around the same age, and we were kind of exposed to this stuff as younger people, and when it was contemporary.
Yeah,
I think when it's like when something is new, it's easier to be like pissed off by it because you know that it might influence things in the future. So you're kind of like oh this sucks. I hope this series doesn't stay like this. Whereas something that's like at the time 25, 30 years old, it's more of a relic of history. So you're just like looking at it as a window into the past, and you can
yeah,
just kind of chuckle and move on, and it's not really offensive. Like it's not really um I don't know. You view it in a different way. Like to me,
yeah,
I'm less actively annoyed by really old stuff that's terrible than by nowadays stuff that's terrible. Just because I feel like, oh, this is what we have to put up with from now on. That fucking sucks, right? And it's
yeah,
like, it's this kind of this weird. Yeah, I admit that it is a double standard in a way, but it makes sense to me anyway that yeah, like if something is historical, it has a different value than something that's contemporary. So uh and I guess now, TNG is very historical as well, obviously, but you and I were around when it was first on, so I mean, we
yeah,
kind of maybe feel a little bit differently about this, and um I just, I kind of think of like my dad, he's not really a Star Trek guy. He remembers the original series, but like sometimes he'd be over at my place when TNG was on. I didn't live with my dad during a lot of those years, even though I was very young. I moved in with him afterwards, but like basically, my dad was a funny guy with TV. He was really like anti corporate television. He supported things like the public broadcasting system and stations that would do fundraising and stuff like that. But like commercial TV, he was very like cynical about it. And we would watch. I would be like, I'm going to watch Star Trek, and of course he'd be around, and he'd be talking about like, oh, this is like a shitty sitcom in space, and
Yeah.
he'd be like dissing it while we were watching it, and it was always uncomfortable watching television at that age with him because he would be very critical like that. But there's just like now I kind of recognize that, yeah, like at its best, TNG is not like that. TNG is better than that, but at its worst, he probably had a point, because
Yeah.
then one of the episodes that I remember watching with him in the room was the outrageous Akona,
Yeah.
and my dad was just like, "How can you watch this?" So yeah, pretty bad.
Definitely.
uh, so I'm just thinking, I haven't mentioned any season 3 episodes yet. So
Sure.
I'm going to mention one now. Transfigurations. Um, Again, it's kind of finding something a little bit disturbing here and picking all these episodes is that uh, even though we're kind of looking forward to a fun shit talking session, most of the episodes I'm picking are just really boring,
Wait, didn't we
and
just
so there's not a
talk
lot of
about
like,
that?
what's that?
We just talked about it a few minutes ago.
Yeah, um, Transfigurations. This like this alien John Doe that they
Yes.
name him John Doe, and he's like transforming into a new creature, and the society that he's a
Yeah.
part of wants to hunt him down, and just like it's just so I don't know, it's just so nondescript. The idea is actually really interesting, and maybe more could be made out of it, but like you only see the aliens from the society at the very end, so
Yeah.
it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe if you'd seen them earlier and if the conflict had been played out from the beginning, it could have been a better episode. But I think the fact that most of it is this mystery around this character, that's very misplaced. Like it's very badly judged in my opinion. Like it doesn't have any weight to it. It doesn't have any, like I'm a fan of mystery. I'm a fan of not really knowing what's going on at first,
Yeah.
but I just kind of feel like if they wanted to make an episode like this, they should have stated exactly what the conflict was right at the beginning and
Pretty
made
much.
that
Yeah.
the whole point of the episode. And meanwhile, you got like Dr. Crusher fussing and fissing about what's up with this character, and like, no, obviously nobody knows, right? And he doesn't even know because he doesn't remember anything. So it's just like a whole lot of nothing for about 35 minutes until we finally get the real conflict at the end. And to me, that's just bad writing. It's not very engaging. It's kind of epitomizing this idea of like, yeah, we're just coasting through an episode of Star Trek on TV, and it's like, I guess the kind of television that was common at that time, where it's just like you can tell when they're just trying to fill time. So not good in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't mind it that much, but I also when I rewatched it, that was probably the first time in 20 years. It's just not on the regular rotation.
Yeah.
so to speak.
Right.
Uh, Maybe I can do something more controversial. I know a lot of people like the episode, The
Oh.
Host, where they introduced the Trill, but it's just terrible acting between Gates McFadden and that guest star, and between Gates McFadden and Jonathan Frakes in particular, when Riker has the Trill symbiont and becomes Odan
Yeah.
and calls her Dr. Beverly and is in love with her, and that's just really awkward to watch.
So, here's a question. Uh, do you think the episode would have been better if Riker wasn't so involved in it?
I don't see how that episode could have been good. They made the Trill interesting in Deep Space Nine, but in this episode, like it's different from Deep Space Nine because in Deep Space Nine, the symbiont and
Yeah.
the host are merged. Their personalities are combined, and in TNG, the symbiont is just the person, and the host is just reduced to nothing, basically.
Yeah. So, again, they hadn't figured it out yet. They didn't really
Yeah,
know what they were doing with those creatures yet, and it developed over time into something else. I can't really fault the writing for that because I kind of feel like that's kind of retroactively saying, well, that's not how it really is because DS9 padded like the DS9 made more sense of that whole thing, right? And that's true. But that's not what the writers had in mind with the host.
yeah, but
So,
haven't figured it out is not really a compliment for something.
uh,
I just don't think the concept is very interesting that instead of this human-looking guy being a person, a slug inside him is the person, and yeah, okay, but that would fill like 5 minutes of screen time and not a
yeah.
whole episode. It's like, interesting new alien species, now do something with it. And unfortunately, what they do is kind of terrible.
I think that's fair. I think that I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of I see that it is kind of I guess not really good compared to how that would be handled later. I mean, obviously, the idea of a real joining of minds is actually more interesting, right? Like
Yeah,
here, it's almost like the trills are like it's kind of weird, but so you know the alien parasites from the episode Conspiracy in season one,
yeah,
how they like they take over the hosts, and it's like obviously the alien parasite is like the mind in charge of the body, right?
yeah,
It's almost like this is their home planet or something like that, and
yeah,
it's they're not as unremittingly evil as the parasites in Conspiracy seem to be, but
yeah.
it just like yeah, it's definitely not the portrayal that you would see later, and so it definitely jars, I think.
Yeah, actually, I'm not that much of a Star Trek book reader, but I read a synopsis of one of the novels. It was actually a plot that the conspiracy aliens are like an offshoot of the Trill, and they have
Really,
like a war against each other.
so that's really interesting. I all right, so I don't know if Iso is listening to this stream, but he might just catch it later. And so I know he's seen Conspiracy recently,
Yeah,
and he's probably wondering if that plot line has ever followed up. Um, Unfortunately, it's not. Not
yeah,
really.
only in the
Uh,
novels.
yeah. So um, I've always wondered. I mean, I've always wondered about that personally. Like,
Yeah,
I like that episode. I do think it's not a particularly well written episode in some aspects, just because it takes so long to get to the actual uh, alien manifestation. That it's like very oddly paced, and yeah, there's no follow up. So I mean, it maybe should have been like a 2 part episode, but in season 1 of TNG they didn't do that. So um, but it's definitely not making my list of worst episodes because it's an episode I always enjoy watching. I like the body horror, so it's just like, but yeah, I mean, it's just so weird that yeah, in the host we see like aliens that basically seem to do that exact thing, and it's just like accepted as normal and just part of
yeah,
the culture of the planet or whatever. It's just yeah. So they changed that to make it more mutualistic rather than parasitic relationship, and I thought that was definitely the right decision. So yeah, way to go, DS9, right?
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah. Okay. Let's see what else I got here. Okay. An episode I'm going to name again. I'm doing this again because I want to actually. I'm getting bored of talking about the really boring episodes.
Yeah,
um, because that and it's I've kind of got a double standard here because the really boring episodes are like mostly from later in TNG, but there's just not much to say about them because they're really boring,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
So I'm gonna pick another season 1 episode, and that episode is Symbiosis, uh,
Huh.
the famous anti-drug episode.
Yeah,
um, Again, the concept is okay. The setup is kind of cool, but yeah, by the end, there's this really shoehorned in anti-drug speech where Wesley, who's the Mary Sue Innocence
yeah,
character at that point. I mean, I don't hate him. I never had a huge problem with Wesley, um, but it's just like, okay, Gene Roddenberry's middle name is Wesley, right? Like
yeah,
he's so obviously a stand-in Mary Sue character. It's really bad to start with. It definitely improves, and like I think Will Wheaton does fine, but yeah, it's just, and he's like, I don't understand, why would people do this? And then
yeah,
Tasha and Picard try to explain it to him, and it's just so on the nose and so like, I don't know,
yeah.
unpleasant to watch, and how like unsubtle it is. And
It's it's funny
so
that it's another thing they did better on Deep Space Nine. The Little Green Men episode where Quark and Rom and Nog are the Roswell aliens,
oh yeah,
and they talk about cigarettes.
yeah, and then even again on DS9, the Jem'Hadar, right? They're
Yeah,
addicted to the substance that keeps them going, and it's the only
yeah,
thing they need for food.
yeah.
And there's the episode where I can't remember the name of it, but it's a really good episode where um, what's his name, Wayun, he basically has them join the Defiant crew and a group of Jem'Hadar joined together to hunt down a bunch of renegades.
To the
And
death.
right, yeah, and you see the kind of ritualistic process of the Jem'Hadar using their stuff,
Yeah,
and Worf gets to comment on their culture, and he's like, "Well, I mean, yes, they live for fighting, and that seems like a warrior culture that I should admire, but it's so boring. Like they have no songs, they have no poetry, they have
yeah,
no, like why are they even alive, right? And that's just
yeah,
like a really interesting depiction, whereas this episode is just so unsubtle and so like, I don't know,
yeah.
it's just childish.
It's the beginning of a problem that was really bad on Voyager. Was they had like a nuclear power episode, a pollution episode, and I don't know, Like every
Yeah.
season, they had to have an episode that comments on some current events. And in
Hmm.
Enterprise, they also had an AIDS episode, and it's like they got a directive from the studio that once a season they need to make some current
Uh-huh.
events political point. And yeah, it always felt like those old Saturday morning cartoons where they have like that segment at the end. What we learned today is blah 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 blah. Like He-Man did that and all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Right.
really cool, man. That yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any other episodes, so
Oh, I have one.
okay.
Um, I keep confusing all the titles. Half Alive, Cost of Living, but I mentioned it
Oh,
earlier. A different one. What
you're
was the
thinking
next
of
one? Quality of Life. Quality of Life. The other Alexander episode, the really
no, the
bad
one you're
one.
thinking of is definitely Cost of Living.
Really?
Yes,
And the Quality of Life.
The Alexander one.
Okay, Quality of Life is the Exocomp episode.
Isn't
Um,
quality of life the one with the exocomps or something like
yeah,
that?
exactly. That's what I was asking. Yeah. So it's Cost of Living, the one that has not only Alexander,
Oh
but
god, that's a
Alexander
really
was
bad
Alexander
episode.
Troy.
That's a bad
Mm.
episode.
And it's my laughing hour or whatever they call it. Ha! 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 Yes, oh God.
Yeah, it's got Alexander and Loxana Troy.
Yeah, what a combination. And Worf has to deal with both.
Yeah, so in this episode, Loxana Troy, who's supposed to be a free spirit and supposed to be like, I don't know, kind of wise to the ways of the world, is going to marry somebody that she's never met and doesn't know anything about.
Yeah,
And I just have to ask, like, why would somebody like this even do something like that? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
It's 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 probably, you know, now that yeah, I can't believe I forgot this episode. You know what? It might be one of the worst episodes of the show.
okay.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah,
It's got some bad holodeck stuff too.
definitely.
Yeah.
That floating thing that greets them, that does like a faces at Alexander, and as those people who argue for fun, and the weird philosopher kind of thing. The guy who talks really dramatically, like the more the lower, or whatever he says. I don't remember the quote. Um, I will look it up because I'm just curious about it. Cost of Living episode.
Yeah.
Sana Troy is blah blah blah. Memorable quotes.
What's what quote from the episode? I don't remember any lines from it, but
That weird philosopher guy. Oh yes, the higher, the fewer.
that's the quote.
Yeah, it's that grumpy guy on the holodeck.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely not an episode I've come back to. Uh, oh, yeah. So, Loxana Troy, you know, like it's easy to, I guess, kind of not like the character. I guess I personally think she's all right. Like, I don't really dislike
Yeah,
her. I actually recently watched her first appearance on Deep Space Nine, and I enjoyed that.
yeah,
Um, but for some reason, it's just really easy to make her episodes like kind of hard to bear because she's
Yeah.
kind of in your face all the time, and she's kind of like, yeah, it's weird. It's and the
Oh, I was.
characters. It
I was
invites like soap opera antics. I mean,
yeah.
there's the episode Menage a Troy, right? And
Yeah.
I didn't really include that in the worst episodes because I think it does have its aspects of fun,
Yeah.
but um, it is hard to take her character
Yeah.
very seriously at the best of times, and I think that it kind of does a disservice to the actress
Yeah.
to make her do some of this, like
Mm.
the stuff, like especially in this episode, right? Where you think that she wouldn't do something like this. She would have a more intelligent approach to choosing a partner. You know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
I just realized that I was looking through the memorable quotes, and I just realized on Deep Space Nine, she no longer refers to Worf as Mr. Wolf.
yeah.
Good choice. That was always annoying. She did that in several TNG episodes I watched recently. The Mr. Wolf thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I prefer Q's nickname Macro Head with a micro brain, or was it Micro Brain with a micro head? One of those
uh,
two.
Definitely remember the micro brain. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I do want to point out that cost of living. Uh, so that episode aired in 1991, mere months after Gene Roddenberry died,
Yeah.
and of course, Gene Roddenberry was Major Barrett's husband, and
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe I can forgive the episode certain things because of that, right? I mean, it seems like there's a little bit of commentary in the episode about aging and about like the people around you going away and stuff like that, and it has a certain emotional power to it. I think that
Yeah, but people say the same about Star Trek Generations, which also has that theme of, your time running out. Doesn't make the movie
true.
good.
So yeah, you're really not a fan of that, are you?
Yeah, I mean, an interesting theme isn't enough. It has to be
Yeah.
entertaining too. I I also have a controversial pick, by the way. An episode I think is a fan favorite for most people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we might as
Um,
well include the movies. Like, to me, Generations is not that bad. Uh, but I mean, I definitely think that you can tell that it's been compromised a lot. Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of that went through a lot of rewrites. So it's again a situation where I think something went through a ton of rewrites, and
Well, the
who
thing is,
knows
the script was first written before the studio wanted William Shatner in the movie.
before what?
Before the studio wanted William Shatner to be in the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think so. Yeah. Um, so I have a confession to make here.
Which is?
I have never seen Star Trek Nemesis.
Oh, well, that's not exactly a big loss.
So do you think so basically I don't know, the TNG movies kind of do feel like extended episodes in a way.
Pretty
Do you-
much, and in a way that they don't warrant the extension. It's like still only like an hour of plot, but they
yeah.
stretch it out with action scenes, which is kind of the feeling I had for a long time about Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Uh,
But since it came out on Blu-ray remastered, the special effects actually look really cool and something to get stoned to.
yeah.
And of course, had great music. But yeah, none of the TNG movies really warrant the extension, except, First Contact has cool action scenes, which, by the way, also applies to Nemesis, which I watched in theaters.
Uh
The action scenes worked sitting in a theater with the loud uh, whatever you call the system where stuff comes out of the speakers. I'm missing the word right now. The sound system, whatever. Anyway, it was Star Trek Nemesis. The action scenes worked fine in theater, but watching it at home, it just doesn't work.
huh. Yeah, I definitely want to watch it at some point because I've heard enough about it. I know opinions are kind of mixed to
Yeah,
bad, but it sounds interesting enough. Like it sounds like it. So to me, I've been complaining about the bland episodes and how like not only are they the worst ones, but there's just not a lot to say about them. Like you can't really
yeah,
ride on how bad they are because they're just boring, right?
yeah,
Nemesis doesn't sound like that. Nemesis kind of sounds like it's bad, maybe, but in a way that's probably cool to watch. I don't know.
yeah. They
That's,
tried the action formula from First Contact because First Contact was successful, so
yeah,
they tried that again. They just forgot to write a plot and just reused the plot from Wrath of Khan, basically, with some minor twists.
right. And between those two, there's Insurrection,
Yeah.
that which I didn't mind. I like that one. It definitely felt like an extended episode, but
I recently rewatched it and liked it less than the previous time I watched it when
yeah,
during my stoner years it was really funny. Like Data going, in case of emergencies, I'm designed as a flotation device.
yeah, because doesn't Insurrection doesn't it kind of feel like a little bit anti Star Trek? You know, it's a little bit
Yeah,
like this whole society where they don't really use technology and stuff, and it's supposed to be like a good thing. You know, it's kind of
yeah,
I don't know. It's just sort of feels like that's not very Star Trek. Like, I mean, it's kind of fine to appreciate a society that doesn't rely on technology as much as the Federation
yeah,
does, but it's like it's taken to an extreme here where it's kind
yeah,
of like, oh, wait, wouldn't it be nice if we went back there, right? It's like that's not very Star Trek. So I don't know. But
yeah.
I still don't mind that movie though. I like it,
I
but
don't mind it either.
it's been over 20 years since I watched it though. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I did have a fan favorite. That well, I think it's a fan favorite. It gets mentioned sometimes that I personally don't like, and that's a fistful of datas, which I just thought it was boring and stupid. Well, not boring in the same boring sense as the other boring episodes, but I found it.
yeah,
I don't know, the idea of doing a Worf Western episode. It just didn't click with me.
makes sense.
But people seem
Yeah,
to enjoy it because it's like a comedy episode and puts them in an unusual situation. Well, not that unusual that the holodeck malfunctions, that happens all the time, but that they are in a Western town and have to fight holographic datas who are as strong as datas.
yeah, yeah,
It just, I don't know, something rubs me the wrong way about the whole thing.
makes sense. I definitely can I can relate to that. So as an addendum to this, this is mostly obviously it's a TNG stream, but uh, any DS9 or Voyager episodes come to mind?
Oh, if
It's like
we
really
did a
bad.
if we did a stream on really bad Voyager episodes, it would be like 8 hours long.
Yeah,
You'd have to fill like a whole notebook full of fora lists.
So I think that like that there's complaints that I have about TNG blandness. Like Voyager was a lot of that,
Yeah,
and it's almost to the point for me with Voyager where it's like picking out the episodes that are good is harder than, I don't know. It's like picking out the episodes that are good is more of an exercise, or it's
yeah,
like you pick out the episodes that are good and memorable. I tried to watch an episode of Voyager recently that was oh shit, I can't remember what it was called, but it had Cass, and she was like nearing the end of her life all of a sudden because she can only live for 9 years or something like
yeah,
that. And it was like such a dumb character conceit because it didn't make any sense.
yeah,
Like I understand what they were trying to do with it, but again, it just didn't make any sense. Like she just seemed like such a normal character
yeah,
that just saying like, oh, she the lifespan of her people is 9 years, right? And like it's just like you have to make her something else. Like you have to make
yeah,
her weirder or somehow more like she's sharp and that she can, she's hyper intelligent or something like that. And
yeah,
that like the fact that she can only live for 9 years but is still equivalent to a normal human
yeah,
type crew member is like, they didn't do anything with it. And just
yeah.
like that's the thing with Voyager, they didn't do anything with a lot of things. And that was a really frustrating show. And I think that I might have
Yeah,
mentioned this to you in one of our other Star Trek streams, but
yeah.
I pretty much gave up on Star Trek when that show was on, and I
I
stopped watching.
just, well, I just stopped watching Voyager, but Deep Space Nine was on at the same time, so.
Yes, at least it was that.
Voyager makes a bit more sense when binge watching because of a lot of tiny details start getting more noticeable and it makes it feel more like an ongoing story. But
Yeah,
you'd have to have the time and the mood for it, and it does have a lot of poor episodes. And with Deep Space Nine, it's more like you can tell that with the big story arcs they have, they sometimes run out of budget and just
yeah,
do some really bland, boring episode to just because they can't do anything else.
right.
And they had those some elements that just didn't work, like Vedic Burial, with who they killed off because he just didn't work.
Yeah, but I think on DS9, when they saw something that didn't work, they they fixed it, or
Yeah,
they killed it off. Like um, Vedic Barile and Kira. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of one of these things where I don't know why they decided to go in that direction, but then it was like the creators of the show kind of realized that too. And they're like, yeah, I don't know why we decided to go here. Let's just kill it, like
yeah,
finish it off and not have it happen anymore. And it's like they understood and they listened, right? And it's just
yeah,
kind of like the way it is with TNG and the child characters,
yeah.
was like they weren't listening and they kept doing it. And especially in the fifth season of TNG, it's just like everybody doesn't like this. Why do you keep doing this? Right? It's like
So
why
I gotta ask you, what you think of Rascals?
of which one?
Rascals, where Picard and Keiko and Ro and Guinan turn into children.
Oh yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't mind that.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess it's okay. I don't know. Yeah, it's just.
yeah. I thought it
Uh,
was funny. I just had to ask you because you were going on about the child episodes, and
yeah, yeah.
though that one has children playing adults or children with the minds of adults.
Hmm.
It does have that really creepy scene where a child Keiko is trying to get it on with Chief O'Brien.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, like I've been rewatching DS9, and there's been a couple of episodes with the O'Briens and Molly and stuff, and
Mm, yeah,
it's not bad to me. Like again on DS9, I feel like they handled this whole thing better.
yeah,
Like I don't know. I feel like O'Brien and Keiko and Molly on TNG is more like I don't know. It's more. Why don't we transfer somewhere else? Like
yeah.
I don't know.
Not to
It's
mention,
weird because it's not like being on DS9 is safer than being on the Enterprise because it's not. But at the same time, it's like it's a home, right? And it's the one
yeah,
place where and most of the people who are there, besides maybe the Starfleet officers who can decide to do something else, they have no choice but to be there, right? Like that. It's not like they can just pick up and move, right?
yeah.
O'Brien can ask for a transfer if he really wants to. So,
I mean, he
uh,
did.
yeah, true,
On TNG, he
right?
transferred to Deep Space Nine,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
which was a good choice for the family because on TNG, Keiko is a supporting character to a supporting character, and Molly is a supporting character to a supporting character of a supporting character.
yeah. Oh yeah, and O'Brien definitely came into his own on Deep Space Nine because he's
Yeah,
like, he doesn't feature in a lot of TNG episodes as a main character. So I mean,
yeah, it
it's
was a
nice.
great choice to make him one.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, maybe a DS9. DS9 talk is something we can consider for the future. I would love
Yeah,
to, but I kind of want to watch because I'm going through a rewatch of the show now, and with a friend of mine, and we're kind of just sort of made
mm,
it partway through the second season. So it's been a while since I've seen some of these. I kind of realized this the other day. I'm really bad with TV shows because on my own, when I watch stuff, I tend to kind of feel like I'm going to start something and I get into it for a bit, but then I get distracted by something and I don't
yeah,
finish. Right.
mm,
So I think that when I'm watching with somebody else, it's kind of a good incentive to continue something and keep it going for a while till the end, maybe. And, like lately in the last few years, I watched Blake 7. We're watching Space 1999 now,
mm,
and it's just like, you know, it's a good incentive to just sort of continue something when you've got somebody to share it with. It's
yeah,
especially somebody who maybe hasn't seen it before, right? So, um, and Deep Space Nine is a really good show to watch from start to finish.
yeah. Though I tend
Uh,
to, when I'm just in them, I tend to just watch the war arc with the Klingon War and then the Dominion War.
oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
to me kind of a
Def-
tradition. I do that a lot. Like, I also do that with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I once a year I watch the 3 extended editions in one day, and once a year I watch Firefly, and I pretty much do the same with the Deep Space Nine War arc.
okay. So did that mean you started with season three?
Mm. Well, the season two
Okay,
finale technically.
yeah. So then pretty much, I remember how that went. It was like when I was watching it when it first aired. At the end of season two, a lot seemed to be building up and a lot seemed to
Yeah,
be happening, and it was just like, oh, this series really. I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff in the first two seasons, and I think
yeah,
it's necessary to watch that to really get a feel of the characters and everything. But things kick
yeah,
into high gear in season three, and it's
yeah.
like the series suddenly becomes more hardcore. And
The thing is, they stretch it out so much. Like a season two finale introduces the Vorta and the Jem'Hadar, and the war starts at the end of season five. So
yeah,
we have 3 years of build up.
Yeah, and it's kind of incredible to think about that it's been building up for that long, right?
Yeah,
And that series really seems to be playing the long game. Like, I mean, you know that when they started it, they didn't know where they were going with it in the future,
yeah,
but it's almost like they spent two or more years just getting you to know the characters and
yeah,
getting you to see maybe how intense the show could be, but not 100%. And then after 2 years, it's like, all right, we're introducing this new thing and we're kicking it into high gear now. And it's like from now on, this show is going to be pretty intense a lot of the time, and it makes you actually appreciate the lighthearted episodes a lot
yeah,
more too, because it's such a nice contrast. And you're like, yeah, I appreciate these episodes now. I like that not everything is like the war situation, right? Like
yeah,
there's still time for the lighthearted episodes, and
yeah,
it's like they actually work better than some of the TNG or Voyager lighthearted episodes because they feel earned. It's not just the bland filler of the week episode. It's like more, oh yeah, this is fun. Like seeing Bashir play James Bond.
yeah,
It's stupid and silly, but it's awesome, right? So yeah,
yeah. And they had the tradition of the once a season the O'Brien must suffer episode. First, he is on trial on Cardassia. He also has 20 years of prison implanted in his head, and he has visions of himself in the future with Deep Space Nine exploding,
yeah.
and Keiko gets possessed by a power wraith. They always want to torture Chief O'Brien. And of
Oh
course, he becomes friends with Dr. Bashir, which is the biggest torture.
yeah.
Which is
Oh,
kind of
we'll have to.
funny that they introduced Bashir as such an annoying character, but then he gets likable anyway.
Yeah, you're giving me some ideas for the future here.
Yeah. Yeah, I did want to start with TNG first, a few streams to get like a sense of continuity for people watching, and then we branch out
Oh yeah.
once
Oh,
once we get.
TNG is like comfort, comfort
Yeah,
watch, and yeah, I mean, just kind of doing this exercise kind of made me realize something, and made me realize that the worst TNG episodes are so boring that there's
yeah,
just not really like they're almost not worth talking about.
yeah,
But I still had fun with this. And enjoyed, and it's funny because yeah, I mean, I brought up a lot of season one episodes, and
yeah. We didn't
I'm
mention.
always the guy who's like, season one is cool, fuck off, right?
We
Like I'm always that guy.
we didn't
But
mention when the bow breaks, where all the children get abducted, which is just a weird episode,
yeah,
and too short a season where the old guy in really bad old guy makeup has a
yeah.
potion to
So
turn himself younger.
I actually enjoyed that. Too short a season. The At least the first time I watched it. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not one that I come back to really, but I don't know. I felt the emotion of it the first time at least, but that was admittedly a long time ago. So I don't know.
and the Naked Now is kind of like Shades of Grey. It just never gets mentioned because what a weird idea to just redo a TOS episode. Who called the cops?
Yeah, that is a common problem. Is the consequence problem, right?
Yeah,
So it doesn't have any consequence. Things just happen, and they have to wrap up after 45 minutes of TV. So consequences or not, yeah,
yeah,
it's not part of it. And I am a fan of episodic television. I like not necessarily being tied to serialization. Like again, that's part of growing up and trying to watch Babylon 5 in a situation where I couldn't watch an episode every week.
Yeah.
It was very difficult, and I just kind of, I kind of fall into my dad's way of thinking, where it's like his notion of serialization was like, oh, it's a very obvious attempt to force you to watch every week. And nowadays, I understand that yes, it makes for more nuanced storytelling in a way, and it's obviously a lot more convenient now, and we can just watch an episode anytime we want, right? So
Yeah.
back in the day, it was kind of annoying. It was kind of annoying to feel like they were forcing you to watch a show every week. Like it's
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a show that I really liked, I would obviously want to watch it every week. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like it's annoying to be so transparently made to feel like if you're not watching every week, you're missing out and you're gonna not understand
Yeah.
what's happening. Like so yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Which reminds me of my pet peeve about the modern Star Trek shows. They're on streaming. You can watch them whenever you want. So why, in the
yeah,
beginning,
exactly.
they have previously on Star Trek Discovery? If we want to know what previously happened, we'll just watch the previous episode. What the hell? But they start every episode with a previously on Star Trek Picard.
I know it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, there's just one thing I just saw in my list of episodes. I recently, when I prepared for this stream, I also rewatched Devil's Due, which I remember to be bad, but I actually enjoyed it.
It's fun episode. I don't mind that
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. I remembered it as bad, probably because
It's fun. You know why it's remembered as bad? Because it's one of the Phase Two Star Trek episodes
yeah,
that was rewritten for TNG.
and it
Um,
has that scene of Picard badly dressed up as the devil, which is kind of super silly, but overall I found it really entertaining. Good
so an
pacing,
episode
like
that I considered including this list was the other Phase Two episode, The Child.
the child. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's really just another so boring that nobody would know what to say about it.
yeah. I mean, it's like the Troy gets raped by an alien
Pretty
episode.
much, yeah,
I don't know. It's really weird.
yeah,
It's kind of uncomfortable now that I think about it, and it's
yeah,
just like I don't know. It's one that I'm probably going to watch soon because Issa and I are about to start season two. So I don't know. I'm,
mhm.
I'm kind of thinking like, oh, it's an uncomfortable episode. I don't really know if it's the one of the worst, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it introduces Pulaski and Gaiden, which I like.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
don't know. That's kind of cool, right? So
But one thing I recently had, even though I really enjoy the episode First Contact, but since you mentioned raped by an alien, it has that really awkward scene where
uh,
Lilith from
First Contact, I
Frasier,
love that episode.
yeah, but the nurse only lets him escape if he has sex with her first, which would
Yeah.
be sexual coercion and kind of awkward. But it seemed like in the 90s that was considered normal for writers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was played like a funny scene. I want to have sex with an alien. I'm not going to let you escape if you don't have sex with me first. That's awkward.
I
But yeah, overall, really good episode, really memorable. Has a great Picard speech.
Yeah, I like that one. But I'll be right back.
Sure.
Sorry, man.
1 second. I needed to get anyway to get my nose spray. I have allergies at the moment. Spring is in the air. That's this. right back. I'll just... Looking through the list of TNG episodes. The funny thing is that looking through all the TNG episodes, there's so many good ones. To like really pick and choose to find the bad ones.
Yeah, man, I agree. Sorry, man. I had to piss real bad, so that's
Huh.
really, really urgently. So
And you didn't take the microphone with you to increase the entertainment value of the stream?
yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry, but I really, really got it. So anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree. There's definitely more positive than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really iconic show. I mean, there's some pointless episodes like The Perfect Mate I just saw. It's just another one of those in one ear, out the other for me.
Which one? Second phase?
The Perfect Mate.
I think
The
I like
one.
that one.
Yeah, it's just I found it
That's the
very...
one where Jordy and Ro are invisible, right?
No, that's the next phase. I'm talking about The Perfect Mate.
Okay.
The one with the chick from X-Men being a love slave, and she's into Picard.
Yeah. In one ear, out the other, as you said.
Yeah. There's one I find weird, Silicon Avatar with the
Oh yeah.
crystalline entity episode. It's just I'm not a fan of the ending that they kill the crystalline entity.
What do you think they should have done?
Yeah, that's a good question. Uh,
I mean, I think the whole point is that this woman, scientist, not scientist, whatever she is, she's got a bee in her bonnet about this thing, right? And she's
yeah,
going to do whatever it takes, and you don't know till the very end what her thing is. And
yeah.
I don't know. I like that episode for that reason. I think that it's like,
Oh, it was
uh,
the crystalline entity killed her son.
yeah, and she's like unreasonable, but like you don't actually know what her problem is until the end, and that's
Yeah,
actually one example of where I think that it's handled well. That you don't actually understand the nature of the conflict until after, and yeah, she's killed this creature, but like I guess in a way it could have been, maybe it could have survived and it could have threatened other
yeah,
planets in the future, but like you can kind of see why the show wanted to revisit it, but also kill it off, right? So
yeah. I just thought the crystalline entity was so cool that it was kind of sad to kill it.
in data lore,
Well, yeah, that's the first appearance.
yeah, because it's strange and big, and yeah, I don't know. Data lore was one of those season one episodes that I really enjoyed watching
Yeah.
again. Of course, it's the infamous "Shut Up, Wesley" episode. Uh,
Oh, really? I don't remember that part. That it was in that episode.
yeah, it's in that episode,
Huh.
uh, and it's got like lore is just so over the top.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun. It's so much fun.
Sometimes there are details that bother me that I don't remember them. Like there are two season one episodes in which Picard says shit in French when
Yeah,
something goes wrong. I keep trying to remember which episodes they are.
yeah, he does. It's kind of funny because Patrick Stewart is so English.
Yeah.
uh, it's really funny because I was watching one of the DS9 episodes with a friend recently. I can't remember which one it was, but it was like I think from season three, maybe or something like that. It was kind of it was an episode where uh, Quark goes into he meets the wormhole aliens, and anyway, we were watching the episode, and Rene Aubergenois, who plays Odo, of course, uh, is actually French, and it's just kind of funny because like I kind of picture an alternate universe where um, he's actually Captain Picard. Is like really French, and
Yeah.
he has the kind of the right accent and everything like that. It's sort of
It's
funny,
weird, isn't it,
but
that Picard is supposed to be French, but at the same time, Captain Kirk is played by someone born in Montreal.
he's what?
Captain Kirk is played by William Shatner, who was born in Montreal. So
Oh yeah.
technically, he's more French than Picard.
Oh, he's not French. William Shatner.
Yeah,
No, he's not French. I mean, Montreal has a really big Jewish community. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure he knows how to. He probably knows how to speak French, but yeah,
yeah.
he's definitely not.
I do remember reading that he's not a native French speaker. Not that kind
Yeah,
of French Canadian.
I mean, it's complicated. Montreal has a pretty diverse society, I guess. Like there's the French Quebecois side, but like generally in Montreal, people are there's a lot of English spoken, and yeah, there's a really big notable Jewish community presence that
Yeah,
in general French is not their first language.
yeah.
So I think that would be the case for William Shatner. He's like, uh,
But
to
he
me, he
is
doesn't seem very. To me, Rene Aubergenois seems way more French than
yeah.
William Shatner does. Right.
Yeah, just
So
saying that William Shatner is closer to French than Patrick Stewart.
that might be true. Yeah.
They
That,
did try to retcon it in Star Trek Picard season 2 that the Picards moved to England after World War II and lived there for hundreds of years before they moved back.
yeah.
But goes without saying that I'm not a big fan of the Star Trek Picard retcons. Because they kind of turn everything a bit stupid. Like in season 3, they finally confirmed the fan theory that transporters do indeed kill you and make a copy. It's like I always hated that theory. Why
Oh,
do they
that's
have to
weird.
confirm it?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. But I'm never going to complain about Patrick Stewart, though. I mean, I think he's good at what he does. He's one of
Yeah.
the highlights of the whole series, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Which one?
Well, Star Trek in general, really.
Oh,
It's Patrick Stewart is awesome. That definitely
yeah.
been interesting again. Rewatching a lot of season one and how a lot of the time he is the character that resolves the whole situation, and like that it's all down to him in the end. And I think a lot of that, like that, did change later, but I think a lot of it is again paying
It's
tribute
funny.
to the.
The thing that a lot of people complain about with Picard in the first two seasons is how self-righteous he is. But when I mentioned to you that I watched The Battle recently, like they have a lot of stuff that's just really weird. Like they say in the battle that the common cold no longer exists and headaches no longer exist.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Picard, which people complain about, is always going on about we don't have money anymore, we don't want any worldly
But that's
possessions
what I
and
meant
possessions.
earlier. Like when Riker does that, somehow it's
Yeah,
like not convincing. But when Patrick Stewart and Picard does it, it's like it's okay. Like it's he makes it somehow seem like sincere.
yeah.
Whereas when Riker does it, it kind of feels like he's being pompous for no reason.
It's weird how much Riker changed with the beard. I don't know why, what the connection is. But as soon as he grew a beard in season 2, that
Yeah,
was Riker. Not sure how a beard influences somebody's personality, but in Riker's case,
so you think there was a change at that time?
yeah, he just in season 1 he may be self-righteous, but he doesn't seem confident.
Right.
He seems like a fish out of water. And
It's
in season 2, he seems really confident and
more assertive.
sure, yeah, sure of his place in the whole grand scheme of things. What is this pop up? Oh yeah, in 5 minutes we'll be reaching the limit of the stream,
Yeah.
2 hour limit.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Uh,
What
oh
was
yeah.
coming? What was coming of age again? It was the one where Wesley has to take the test and where they first introduced the conspiracy aliens.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's right. And it doesn't really introduce, but it hints at it what's to come. And
Yeah,
I actually was curious about that too. I was like kind
yeah,
of wondering, were like was the slimy dude who's on the Enterprise trying to figure out if something's wrong with the ship, was he already infected with the alien at that
yeah,
time? It's like we don't know, they don't tell us, so it's kind of this
yeah,
cool speculation where you're not quite sure whether that's happening yet or not. It's I kind of feel like it must have been because he's just so weird. You know, it's just like this guy prowling around the Enterprise, interviewing people and going, you know, what horrible mistakes has Captain Picard made, and like, you know, it's just
yeah.
being really slimy about it, and like obviously a character you're not supposed to like, right? So I don't know, but yeah, what about Captain Picard during that episode? Uh,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't watched it recently. I don't remember all the details. I'm just browsing through the episode list for some honorable mentions. I also just saw the Royale, which is another
okay,
honorable mention for a episode with a weird plot.
I definitely don't mind coming of age. I think that it's a pretty cool episode.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
But we are reaching our time limit because I still use the free plan. So we have to wrap things up.
I will mention when the bow breaks from season one, it's because it's like more of the aliens kidnapping the children thing,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's really kind of dumb. So
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, we have to wrap things up. The stream is going to end in a little over a minute. We'll probably,
oh, so we have
probably,
exactly 2 hours.
yeah.
Is that the same as it was before, or was it 1 hour?
No, it was 2 hours
Okay.
always. But I also use a different service, which is limitless, but a different service. I'll explain in Messenger because we need to wrap things up.
Yes. All right. Well,
And we'll probably figure out something to do for the next one.
Yeah. Oh, I'll pick another one. Now I'm going to fix some dinner because
Yeah,
where I am, it's 7 p.m. Where you are, it's
1
midnight?
a.m. 1 a.m.
1 p.m. Okay.
1 a.m.
1 a.m. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I need to eat too. So
yeah. Oh, you do? Okay. Well, that's
let's
the
eat.
bachelor. The bachelor life is
Yeah.
making food at midnight or
Broadcast will
afterwards.
end in 5 seconds. So thank you everybody for watching. And 1 second, done. That's
All
the
right.
end of the
Thanks for
broadcast.
having me on. Maybe next time I'll get my camera working. I don't know what the hell is wrong with it this time, but
Yeah,
it's apparently you couldn't see me last time anyway, so I guess
yeah,
it's whatever. But maybe next
yeah,
time you will. So
yeah.
the
Remember to
camera
turn
was
on the
working
light.
last time, but
Yeah,
I think the lighting in my environment was really bad, so
yeah.
it should be better now.
I
But
remember seeing black.
yeah. All right, man. Cheers.
All
Yeah, that
right.
was cool. And yeah, I learned something this time. It's like it's one thing to shit talk, but the blandness is hard to,
Yeah,
it's like not funny enough to really cut them, and it's not,
yeah,
it's like yeah, but still a lot of good good bad picks.